What if I told you that everything you call reality could actually be an illusion? That the world around you, with all its colors, sounds, and shapes, may never have truly existed? Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly the question you need to start asking yourself. Because the truth is, what you see, feel, and believe, could it be real, or is it just a projection created by your mind? Modern science, quantum physics, and even ancient philosophies have been telling us that reality isn't what it seems. Solid matter, the body you touch, and the environment around you aren't as solid as you think. What if all of this is just an illusion? What if the life you know is nothing but a mental construct, shaped by your perception? I know, you're probably thinking, this sounds like science fiction. But hold on, what you're about to hear is going to make you question everything you thought you knew until now. Neuroscience shows that the brain edits reality all the time, creating a version of life that is entirely filtered and distorted by your beliefs and experiences. And ancient philosophies, like Plato's, have already warned us that we're all living in a cave, seeing only shadows. What if our life is just that? A shadow projected by our mind? Now, before we go further, take a moment to think. What if you were living a lie? What would happen if everything you know were an illusion? This video is the key to unlocking a new perspective on life. What you'll learn today could forever change the way you see the world and yourself. Let's start with a deep question that resonates with many philosophers. What is reality? Have you ever stopped to think if the world around you really exists, or if it completely depends on how you perceive it? Most of us go through life believing everything around us is real, unquestionable. But is it really? What if our reality is, in fact, a construct of our minds? Plato, one of the greatest philosophers in history, gave us a powerful metaphor to reflect on this. He talked about the allegory of the cave, where people spent their entire lives trapped inside a cave, seeing only shadows projected onto the wall. They believed those shadows were all that existed in the world. But when one of the prisoners manages to escape the cave and see the sunlight, he realizes that everything he believed to be real was just an illusion. What he thought was reality was actually just a projection of his limited perception. This allegory applies perfectly to our lives. What we see, what we feel, the beliefs we hold, all of this could just be a shadow on the wall of our own mental cave. Our perception of reality is, in many ways, limited and distorted by what we've learned, the experiences we've lived through, and the beliefs we've created throughout our lives. The real question here is, to what extent are we truly seeing the world as it is, and not just how our mind convinces us it is? What if I told you that reality only exists because our consciousness observes it? This is a central principle of philosophical idealism, a line of thought defended by philosophers like George Berkeley and Arthur Schopenhauer. According to them, the world has no existence separate from our minds. It only takes shape because we, as observers, bring it to life. Like a blank canvas, the universe only manifests when our mind interacts with it. Science also has something to say about the nature of reality. If you think that, deep down, reality is something solid and unchanging, it's time to reconsider. Let's talk about quantum physics, one of the most fascinating areas of modern science. One of the fundamental principles of quantum physics is superposition, which tells us that subatomic particles can exist in multiple states at once until they're observed. And here's the most curious part. The simple act of observing a particle can affect the state it's in. In other words, reality isn't something fixed, waiting to be discovered. It depends on our perception, our consciousness. Doesn't that remind you of Plato's Allegory, where the prisoner only discovers the truth by leaving the cave? The double-slit experiment is a classic example of this. When particles like electrons are observed, they behave like particles. But when they aren't observed, they behave like waves, spreading out in unpredictable ways. What does this mean? Reality isn't something that's just there, waiting to be seen. It's shaped by our observation, by our consciousness. And this isn't science fiction. This is quantum physics. Reality, as we know it, can be extremely fluid and malleable. And now, here's another fascinating question. The virtual world. Have you ever stepped into a virtual reality game? The feeling of being in another place, experiencing a different reality, is so convincing that you might even forget, for a moment, that it's not real. What if we can be so easily fooled by a simulation created by computers? Could our reality, built by the mind, also be one big simulation? What if we're all living in some kind of matrix, like in that famous sci-fi movie? Technology is already showing us that what we perceive as real might indeed be a projection. So, the big question is, if technology can deceive us, are we being deceived all the time by our own minds? So, what role does consciousness play in all this? Are we merely observers of an external reality, or are we co-creators of this reality? For philosophers like David Chalmers, consciousness is the great mystery of philosophy. He proposes the idea that, if consciousness is fundamental to constructing reality, perhaps the universe itself is a manifestation of consciousness. If this is true, then everything we experience could be a creation designed by a greater consciousness, perhaps even a collective consciousness of humanity? From the concepts we've explored, we start to see a picture that proposes a fluid reality, where what we understand as the external world isn't something solid and unchanging, but something in constant interaction with perception and consciousness. This point of view isn't just theoretical speculation. It echoes ancient philosophies, like Plato's idealism, which suggested that the sensible reality was a shadow of the world of ideas, a deeper and unchanging reality. Another example comes from George Berkeley's philosophy, where he stated, "To be is to be perceived, esse est percipi." For Berkeley, the existence of an object depends on our perception of it. If no one sees it, it ceases to exist in practical terms. This perspective contrasts with mechanistic and materialistic thinking, which held that reality existed objectively and independently of consciousness. In quantum physics, something similar seems to be happening. Particles don't exist in a defined state until they're observed. This interaction between observer and object isn't just a technical curiosity of physics, but a possibility to redefine the role of human consciousness. The observer is not just a passive witness to reality, but an active participant in creating and defining what exists. The connection between mind and reality here can be seen as an interdependence, as if the universe and the human mind are parts of a dynamic and indivisible system. Quantum physics, with its idea of probability states, suggests that the universe isn't a deterministic machine, but a field of possibilities, and it's human perception that collapses these possibilities into a concrete reality. Our understanding of perception also changes profoundly. If reality isn't something fixed, but something shaped by the interaction of consciousness with the quantum world, human perception takes on a central role in the creation of the universe we live in. Perception isn't just a simple reflection of the outside world, but a continuous creation that happens in real time. We're not separate from the universe. The idea of an independent reality, an objective, external, impersonal reality, begins to fade away. The quantum world, with its interconnectedness and its behavior seemingly influenced by consciousness, suggests that we are, in fact, an inseparable part of a much larger reality. The universe, in a sense, is created through our interaction with it. As we explore these questions, we see that the boundaries between philosophy, science, and spirituality begin to blur. Quantum physics, while rooted in mathematics and experimentation, suggests that questions we once considered philosophical might, in fact, have profound scientific implications. The future of quantum and philosophical research could lead us to a more holistic understanding of what it means to be human and what role our minds play in creating reality. Ancient philosophies and new quantum theories may intertwine at a point of convergence, where mind and matter aren't opposites, but aspects of the same reality. If human perception plays an active role in constructing the physical world, maybe our understanding of how the universe works, and even of time itself, needs to be reconsidered. Science might one day be able to articulate these deeper connections, helping to fill the gaps that philosophy has been discussing for millennia. Throughout this video, we've explored different perspectives on reality from philosophical, scientific, spiritual, and psychological viewpoints. Each of these areas offers a unique perspective, but they all converge on one fundamental point. The power of the mind is real and transformative. Even though we may not have a definitive answer about what reality is, the fact that our minds can shape and influence our experience of life is something we can say with certainty. If reality is a projection of your mind, how can you start creating the life you truly desire? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. If these words have resonated with you, I invite you to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue this path of spiritual growth with us. Leave your experiences with "Is the reality you live in real?" in the comments and share how they've served as guides in your own awakening. Let's grow together, not only in mind but in heart. And if you want to dive deeper into this process, check out our video, Create Your Reality. Transform thoughts into power, which will help you understand more about how reality manifests. Peace and light.